Welcome to the woods. The weather's not brilliant today, but winter is fast approaching. The leaves are falling off the trees, and there'll be a couple of cold, rough months ahead. And what I wanted to talk about today was the difference between living off-grid and living in a house, in a street, or on an estate, which I used to do. And I want to contrast the way I live with what I see approaching in the next few years. So in the last video, I spoke about some of the positives about living the way I do. Because I've built this without borrowing money, I'm now in a position where I don't have rent and I don't have a mortgage. And because I use solar, my bills are much lower. Because I grow some of the food I eat, and the chickens supply eggs, my outgoings are much lower than they used to be. That doesn't mean I don't have any outgoings, I do. So I still work. But I get to keep a lot more of my money, which is nice. But I don't want to be giving you the wrong idea. It's lovely here, and it's a way of existing that I much prefer. But that isn't to say that there aren't hardships or changes that had to be made that took some time to get used to. Last winter, for some unknown reason, I managed to knacker 3 generators. And during the winter months, I have to run the generator to keep the batteries topped up, because that's what powers the cabin. So there were several days, in fact over a week, of no power in winter. I couldn't flick a switch and make everything all right. So as much as I had heat, and as much as I had running water, which runs off a separate system, a 12-volt system, I couldn't run the boiler, so I couldn't run the central heating. And I couldn't have any lights. So the cabin was full of LED lanterns and torches, and you know, we got through it. But things like that happen when you live like this. The year before, during the snow, all of the roofs I'd put onto the chicken coop, not the coops but the pens, all of them collapsed. That was probably £1,000 worth of roofing, which I had to throw away and start again. So there are hardships, there are hiccups. Nothing that would force me to go back to how I used to live. And I've spoken before about authenticity, about an honest way of living. And it's true that running the log burner, I need to find a tree or branches, I need to cut those down, I need to log them up into rounds, probably about a foot long. I then need to split those rounds down into logs. I then need to stack those and store those for a year before they're ready to burn. So there's quite a lot of work that goes into being able to heat the cabin. Quite different from simply touching the thermostat that I used to do in my old house. No work there, but much more expensive. So I would have had to work harder at my job to earn more money to pay for the electricity and the heating in a normal house, whereas here there's hard manual work to do before I can use the log burner. So it swings and roundabouts and differences. And what I see coming down the road is really not very pretty at all. I think we'll all agree that technology is a double-edged blade. It can be really useful. I'm talking to you on a smartphone using the internet. But it's also highly addictive, designed that way, very intrusive, and becoming more so. And it's creeping into every aspect of our lives. Now, I'm sure all of you heard a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that Facebook had changed its holding company name to Meta, and they were launching the Metaverse. And that all sounded a little bit weird to me, so I looked into it, and then it looked horrific to me. And then I started to think, is it that horrific? Would most other people find that horrific? To be able to put on a pair of Facebook glasses and everything you see is beautiful, including yourself. That you could meet your friends in this fantasy land, family from hundreds and thousands of miles away. You could meet up, talk, interact. And I think that a lot of people are going to be very attracted to it. And it's one of the ways they're going to achieve their goal of you will own nothing and you will be happy. Because you see, in the real world you won't need much. You won't be spending much time there. You won't really mind living in a small one-bedroomed apartment or a one-roomed pod, because with your glasses on it can be anything you want. And there's different creators, not just Facebook. There's already existing worlds used in the gaming community, which I'm not part of. But as I looked into this, there's games you've probably heard of, like Minecraft and Fortnite, to name but two. And they've created their own worlds, which these gamers populate. And when you look at the numbers, it's millions and millions and millions of people. And when you look at the amount of time they spend in these virtual worlds, it's months every year spent there. And that's just to play a game. And I think what's going to happen now is the gaming side of it, although it's still going to be there, it will be the social side, the media side. They've already started holding concerts in these virtual worlds. Much safer. You could attend the concert. Several million people went to the last one. As an entertainer, that's quite a big crowd, not something you could do in the real world. So there's money to be made. And I listened to a mother of 2 children saying that now, when it's their birthdays, they don't want presents. They want her to buy this digital currency that they can use in this game so that they can buy clothes in the game and trainers in the game, and they can buy items in the game, because that's where all their friends are, and that's where they're spending their time. That's where they meet, not in real life. And I have to ask, why would somebody choose that? Why would somebody choose to live a life that isn't real? And I think the answer lies in what we can actually see around us. That the real world isn't that good for a lot of people. I touched on in a previous video the rising mental health problems with youngsters today, and how I can completely understand how, looking forward to their future, it can cause depression and anxiety. And then we ask, well, why don't our governments do something about this? Why don't they offer these kids a bright future instead of one of unemployment and degradation? And it's not just one party or another party, because by now I'm sure most people understand that there's no difference between them. That both or all of these political institutions merely plough down the same road to the same objective. And now they're tied in together with mega corporations, technology, and a new normal. They're building back different, not better. But they'll sell you that lie. The same lie they sold you with politics and democracy. You can vote for one or you can vote for the other. That's democratic. But when they're both the same, you have no choice. And the future they're going to sell you is one of wonderment, and anything is possible in a virtual world. And I can see a time where someone in their 20s, sitting in their underwear in an armchair with a pair of Facebook glasses over their eyes, taking a protein pill in the morning and a nourishment shake halfway through the day, maybe a maggot burger for tea, and that'll be their sustenance, and that will probably be provided free of charge. And if they've got work to do, it will be online in a virtual office, and they'll meet their friends in a virtual world. And if they ever take those glasses off and glance around at their filthy room filled with nothing, because they have nothing, it won't take them long to put those glasses back on. to save themselves from the insanity that is going to be forced upon them. A lie sold to us the way they sell everything else. And I contrast that of complete unreality with the way I'm living here, where the seasons mean something to me and the weather is important and there's work to be done and it's real, and my hands get dirty and my back aches sometimes, and I love it because it's real, because it's authentic, because I understand it. At every opportunity we need to push back against what's coming. It's pure evil. It's inhuman. It's non-reality. It's beyond fake. And what's happened over the last year and a half has truly softened up the public. People are now used to working at home. How much better would it be to work in a virtual office? I think Zuckerberg even said that in his Metaverse advert, that working from home is here to stay. So that was lucky, wasn't it? And in the past, this virtual reality has not really caught on that much because people don't like wearing things on their face in order to interact. We had the same thing with 3D TVs that were going to be the next big thing. But let's be honest, no one really wants to bang on a pair of wonky glasses just to watch the telly. But over the last year and a half, people are getting very used to putting things on their face. They're getting very used to obeying orders. They're getting very used to doing as they're told, regardless of if it's good for them or not. So I don't mean this to be a downbeat, because at the end of the day, we're going to have a choice. You've got a choice between reality or conformity in an unreal world. Make the right choice, you lot. Choose reality. I'll speak to you soon.